Howdy folks, welcome back to my World of Tanks replays with the mighty Jingles. Before we get started, just news on the patch 8 release of the new Russian tank destroyers. At tier 6 there's going to be the Su-100M. All we know about these things so far is what they look like from these screenshots. Tier 7, the Uralmash 1. Now there is no tier 8 tank destroyer at the moment. So we go straight to tier 9, the Su-12254. Like the look of that. And then at tier 10, the Object 263. Now, all we know about these things is they're coming with the physics patch in patch 0.8, and this is what they look like. So just a quick preview for you there. But this is what we're here for today, the ARL V39, French tier 6 tank destroyer. Well, before we actually talk about the machine, let's just go through the stats. So, it's based on the chassis of the ARL 44 tier 6 French heavy tank. Obviously, tank destroyer, it's had the turret chopped off, it's had a gun stuck in the front of the hull. And because it's based on the chassis of a heavy tank, it has the most health by far of any of the tier 6 tank destroyers, 610 hit points. If you want to compare, let's just quick look at the Su-100. 580. USA, Hellcat, 570. So, yeah, 610. It's got the most health of any of the tier 6 tank destroyers. Not much more, though. No, not USSR. Where are we? France. There you go. Back to the ARL. Not much more, but, you know, the most is the most. Mine, fully equipped, weighs in at 26.83 tons, depending which gun you have fitted. 27.18 tons with the 90mm gun. And the engine is only 450 horsepower. You don't get a choice of 2 engines on this thing, which is okay, but the posted speed limit at 42 km per hour is a work of fiction. That is the top speed when you're going downhill, basically. Again, it's another one of those machines where the listed speed limit is as fast as it will go when it's going downhill with a tailwind. In real terms, you won't get higher than 30-34 km per hour on the flat with this thing. The engine just isn't powerful enough. Coupled with a pretty lousy traverse speed, this thing doesn't turn very well at all, 24 degrees per second. Armour-wise, it's kind of baffling. Armour at the front, 60mm, sides 40mm, rear 60mm, and I say it's baffling because it's based on the chassis of the ARL 44. And if you look at the French tech tree, the ARL 44 is the only French heavy tank that actually has some armour. It's 120mm of hull armour at the front, and it's very well sloped. You don't start seeing that sort of armour on a French tank until you get to the AMX 50B. 170mm of hull armour. The ARL 44 at tier 6 had more armour than the AMX 5120 at tier 9. 20% more. So that was the only outstanding feature of the ARL 44, the fact that it had all of this armour on a French tank. So they took the ARL 44, ripped the turret off, gimped it, turned it into a tank destroyer, and then ripped all the armour off the thing. Which is kind of baffling, but, you know, there you go. It has crap armour. The traverse of the gun, the traverse speed of the gun is, again, pretty slow. But the traverse speed isn't the problem this thing has. It's the actual traverse arc, the distance that it can swing the gun from side to side. And it is really bad on this thing. I think it may be as little as 10 degrees to either side. Something like a 20 degree firing arc. It might be as much as 30 degrees, but it's not a lot at all, and that's a big problem, and we'll come on to that when we look at the guns and you'll understand why. View range 350 meters is pretty good, but you know, it's nothing special, because if you look at the Su-100, and the Russians traditionally always had the inferior view range, that's got 350 meter view range as well. Where the ARL does stand out is in its signal range. It's got very, very good signal range, but oh, there goes a tank with very, very good signal range. I must buy that, said nobody ever. Who cares? Seriously. It's a tank destroyer. We want to know 3 things. Is it mobile? Does it have any armour, and what's the gun like? Nobody gives a crap about the signal range. It's either good enough or it's not good enough, and if it's not good enough, we don't really care. As long as it's got a good gun, it's mobile, and possibly it also has some armour. So screw the signal range, even though it is 710 metres. But it is a tank destroyer, and tank destroyers are all about the gun, and that's kind of where this thing really falls over. And it's not the fault of the guns themselves, it's a whole combination of factors that just combine to make the guns not very good. And I'll tell you why. First of all, we'll look at the research tree. You cannot fit anything onto this thing until you research the tracks. Right? You must get the tracks first. Now, when you unlock this thing, there's a good chance you may already have that gun and that gun. And you'll certainly have that gun, because that one you unlocked on the Somua S40, and these two you unlock on the S35 before you get to the ARL. But you can't mount any of them until you unlock the tracks, and that's 5,375 XP, and you'll be grinding that 5,375 XP either with the free experience or the stock gun, which is the biggest piece of shit to ever go anywhere near a tier 6 tank destroyer. Hell, that would be the biggest piece of shit to ever go anywhere near a tier 4 tank destroyer. It is that bad a gun. In fact, the Marder would be embarrassed to have this gun, and that's tier 3. It's 15... I mean, the rate of fire is good, which you'd expect, because everything else is shit. 68 penetration? Seriously? On a tier 6 tank destroyer? That makes the Jagdpanzer look good. In fact, that's half the penetration of the Jagdpanzer's best gun. In fact, you know, I'm not even going to bother looking at the rest of the stats, because 68 penetration, and you have to do 5,375 XP on a tier 6 tank destroyer with a gun that has 68 penetration. So, God help you. Once you do have those tracks unlocked, however, you can start mounting these guns. Now, I'll cut a very, very long story short. First, we're going to go back to the S35CA. When you're playing this thing, unlock that gun and unlock that gun. Even if you don't plan on ever using them, unlock both of those guns. And the reason you're going to want to do that is because when you get to the ARL V39, you have to go through the 90mm DCA 30 to get to the 90mm DCA 45. And you may not use the 90mm DCA 45 on the ARL V39, but you will be using it on the AMX ACM LE 1946, because you have to use that, or at least have it unlocked, to get to the good gun, the 100mm. And you will be using the 105mm from the S35 on the ARL V39, and I'll explain why. So, summarise, when you have the S35, unlock every gun it has, because you may not be using them on this, but you will be using them on either the V39 or the 1946, or even the 1948. And here's why. So, that gun's useless, that gun's useless, that gun is useless. These are the two contenders. The 105mm and the top 90mm. Which one you're going to use? Matter of personal taste to a large degree. I use the 105, and I'll tell you why. Compare the stats first of all. Rate of fire is more or less the same. The 90mm has 6.67, the 105 has 6.25. The 90mm has far superior penetration, 212mm of penetration. That's fantastically good. Does it need 212mm of penetration though? It's only going to fight tier 8s. No, it doesn't need 212mm of penetration. It's good to have, it doesn't need it. The 105 has 165mm of penetration. And that's good enough. That's good enough for anything this thing is going to be shooting its gun at. So yeah, it's not as much penetration, but it's enough to get the job done. Damage, 240 for the 90mm, 300 for the 105. The 90mm is more accurate, 0.36 accuracy, and yet it still seems to miss. And the .39 accuracy of the 105, and yet it still seems to hit the target. I don't know, it's just one of those things. But here's the killer, right? You can pretty much ignore all of the other stats because it's the aiming time that kills this gun on this tank. 2.9 second aiming time. Now, the 2.3 second aiming time on the 105mm gun isn't good, but it's more than half a second faster than this, and I'll show you why that's important. There are a number of factors that go toward making a good tank destroyer or a bad tank destroyer, and you can have some bad factors on a machine. In fact, I'll give you a perfect example. Here we go. Best tank destroyer in the game, Marder 2. And let's look at the gun. And the gun has a 2.3 second aiming time, which is, I mean, this gun's been nerfed and nerfed and nerfed and nerfed and nerfed, and right now these are the stats for the gun. 2.3 second aiming time, which is, it's not good. But it doesn't matter because the Marder has such a good firing arc. It's got like a 90-degree frontal cone. That gun, you can keep the hull stationary and turn the gun all the way to there or all the way to there. So it doesn't matter that it has a 2.3 second aiming time. That only counts for the first shot. If you've got a target 200 meters away and he's moving 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 and he's moving, you can get as far as here at 200 meter range, and you never have to go through that full 2.3 second aiming time because you never have to turn the hull of the tank. You can just keep turning the gun, bang, and you can still hit him when he's all the way over here. So you can have a tank destroyer, that has a gun with a low aiming time, with bad aiming time. As long as the tank has a good gun traverse, that doesn't really matter. If you have a tank that has poor aiming time and crappy gun traverse, you're going to run into big problems. Guess what? The V39 has bad aiming time and appallingly bad gun traverse. So what it means is that in the same circumstance, I've got a target 200 meters away and he's moving and he's moving and I've got to turn the hull. And he's moving and he's moving and I've got to turn the hull. Every time you do that with the 90mm gun, 2.9 seconds before your aiming circle shrinks down to where you are probably going to hit him. And that's just totally impractical. Not so bad with the 105, it's only 2.3 seconds. Which, still isn't good, but it's more than half a second faster than with the 90mm, and it really makes all the difference. Another reason to use the 105 instead of the 90mm is the 105mm has 1875 average damage per minute. The 90mm, which is supposed to be the best gun, 1600 average damage per minute, 275 less. So for me, it's really a no-brainer. Use the 105mm gun, because this thing is it's such a big target. It has no armor to speak of. It couldn't bounce a shot to save its life. I mean, the front looks sloped, but it really isn't. If you look, that slope actually slopes inward. The whole front of the machine acts as a shot trap, and it's riddled with weak spots. I mean, there's one there. The whole machine gun turret on the top is a massive weak spot. You couldn't miss shooting it from the side. It's just a huge target. I can't prove this because the camouflage values are not something that gets released, but I'm positive this thing has the same camo value as an ARL 44 heavy tank, because you just get shot from everywhere. And you're trying to take steps to address that by fitting a camouflage net, but you've got really shit gun traverse. So when you're trying to keep the gun pointed at the target, you have to move the tank, and you lose your camo value. And then he disappears because you've just lost your binocular value as well, and now he's out of your view range. And then he pops up again, but now he's over here, so you have to move the tank again. And it's just awful. It's just such a combination of poor factors that just gel together into a real mess of a tank destroyer. Anyway, having said all of that, equipment. Well, if you are serious about your ARL V39, and I'm not, I just want to get through it as quickly as possible to get to tier 7. You're going to want a medium caliber tank gun rammer. But before you fit one of those, if you have to choose, enhanced gun lane drive, cut down that aiming time, because it's just appallingly bad. But, and this is why I say if you're serious about your V39, because that thing costs you 500,000 credits. If you can't afford the gun rammer and the gun lane drive, get the gun lane drive. And then get the rammer. And if you want to justify it, well, when you're prepared to spend a little bit of gold, you can always strip them from this thing and put them on the next machine in line when you end up upgrading it. It's 58,000 XP to get from this to that. 58,500 actually, and it's a long old grind. I mean, it's not a bad machine. There's just nothing good about it. It's just such a deeply average tank destroyer. It doesn't excel in any one area except for signal range. And who gives a shit about signal range? Compared to everything else on it. I mean, even the Jagdpanzer IV, which is widely regarded as not just the worst tier 6 tank destroyer, but probably one of the worst tank destroyers in the game, or it was until the French came along. I would rather be driving a Jagdpanzer IV than this thing. At least, that 88mm gun, it might not have the greatest penetration in the world, but at least it's reasonably accurate, and it has a good rate of fire, and the Jagdpanzer is a very, very stealthy machine. This thing, this and the Great Wall of China, are the only two things that astronauts can see from space. It's huge. It's impossible to keep this thing hidden. And the guns that it gets are, well, crap. It's just a really, really hard machine to love. Crew skills, camo, 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 mentor to get the camo up faster. You will, even if you transfer the crew from the S35 onto this, you'll have to recruit a new radio operator, because the radio operator on the S35 was the commander, and literally it's just camo, 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 mentor just to get the camo skills up faster. Anything you can do to reduce the chances of getting shot at in this thing is a good thing to do, because it just can't take the hits. That 610 hit points, let's put this into perspective. A KV-1S with a 122mm gun, an IS with a 122mm gun, an SU-100 with the 122mm gun will take off more than half your health in one hit. 610 health is meaningless. It's only 30 more than its next competitor in the tier 6 tank destroyer line. So yeah, big deal. Well, anyway, that's enough negativity for one day. Let's take this thing out and see how it performs. Now, I'll pretty much skip through the V39 tech tree with free XP. I just looked at the stats of the stuff that was available with the stock suspension and thought, no way. So the very first game I played was with the DCA 45 AC 90mm gun. I mean, on paper it doesn't look that bad. 240 damage is alright. 212 penetration, but you don't need 212 penetration on a tier 6 tank destroyer. Now, how can I put this? Oops, there we go, proper speed. It's very hard for me to present an accurate review of the V39 with the 90mm gun. And that's because all these games were recorded during the summer holidays, and my teams were really shit. As you've seen in some of the other videos I've put up recently. So don't look at the results of the games. Look at how the tank itself performs and make your mind up whether or not this gun is for you. So here we are on Mountain Pass, and it's a tier 6 game. I'm getting ready to cover the back road leading up to the glacier that goes into the northern base, and as you can see, most of our teams come this way. So I'm thinking, there's too many of us here, but And there probably is too many this year, but you know, it doesn't really matter. So I'm still trying to find something to actually shoot at. But these guys are all getting caught in crossfire. And it's not going well. Okay, Panzer III-4. And we have 240 average damage with this gun. Look at the aiming time of that thing. So that was a below average damage roll. It just takes so long to blow. That was an average-ish damage roll. If those had been average, both average damage rolls, you can two-shot kill a tier 5. It just happened to take us 3 shots. So, we took a little bit of splash damage there from artillery and a solid hit from a tier 5 medium. And we're down to 70%. The guys in front of us are just evaporating. I don't want to get hit by a KV2 with a dirt gun. So, I'm trying to get a little bit better cover here. I hope while I'm backing off, they have other things to shoot at. Look at how slowly this thing turns. Now, 212mm of penetration. There's the aiming time. Ugh. 466 seems good, but that was two of us hitting in at the same time. So 212mm penetration. But you know, if you hit, it doesn't matter what you shoot at, with what penetration, if you hit them at a bad angle, it's going to bounce. And the accuracy, and the size of the aiming circle, means that you spend all that time aiming and all that time reloading, and you just miss, or it bounces, regardless of the amount of penetration that you have. And well, you know, this team wasn't that bad. It was a pretty even match, but as is often the case, when things start to go wrong, they start to go wrong very quickly. The aiming time again. That was right at the limit of my gun traverse. If he hadn't popped back into view range at the exact spot that he did, I would never have hit him. I'd have to turn the hull. And it wouldn't, you know, in 2.9 seconds he'd have been over the bridge. Now, everybody behind me. Well played at this T-34-85 truck, but again, look at that slow aiming time. A T-34-85 can kill you in the length of time it takes you to load your second shot.
We've had it. Let's get out of here.
With a little bit of help from KV2. So, yeah, I mean, the gun just didn't perform very well. So, here we're on steps, and this is potentially another good map for the V39. If you can stay back out of their view range and let your guys spot them, you can do well in this map. It's the sort of map that this gun really needs. I don't know if I've mentioned how really slow that aiming time is yet. I'll mention it again just in case. Look at that. Now I'm confident this KV2 isn't on here. Well, that was a good hit. That M5 did a fantastic scouting job in this game, by the way. There's hope for M5 drivers after all. This doesn't look good. What is he doing over there? How did he get over there? Oh, anyway, Churchill in front. Yeah, get the Churchill.
Enemy armor is hit.
And another good hit. So, I mean, this gun can perform. It just needs to be in the right circumstances. Circumstances like this. But if those guys get any closer, I don't like the look of that ARL 44 that just disappeared off the map to my left.
They're hit.
Oh, here it comes. Great. Spotted. Although not by that Panzer IV. And that one went low. Well, you can't win them all. Why is our ARL running away from their ARL? Oh, I've got to get out of here. I'm going to get shot in the ass by an ARL 44. Okay, this is... Yep, this is a good one. Come on, aim, aim, aim.
Enemy armor is hit.
Good damaging hit. Would he just stay there long enough for me to... Oh crap, look what's coming on.
We didn't even scratch them.
And that's just how much of a difference having 212mm of penetration does.
Penetration.
If it's going to bounce, it's going to bounce. And it's going to veer off from the centre of your aiming circle. And therefore it's going to hit a weird angle and it's going to bounce. And this is why I say use the 105mm gun, because 160mm of penetration is fine, and at least it has better DPM. And yeah, I'm so screwed. That one missed. That wasn't us hitting. Great. 0 damage. Again.
Enemy vehicle knocked down.
Look at how screwed I am. KV2. Dirt gun. He doesn't need the dirt gun. He has 6
Looks like that one went right
and
through.
I am never going to be able to reload fast enough to kill him. Or am I?
We're done for.
Oh.
Everyone get out.
I did get him. But that was inevitable. So yeah. And again, don't go judging this gun on the V39 by the results of these games, because these games were generally pretty poor. Look at the performance of the gun. The accuracy, how much the shot deviates from the aim point, the amount of 0 damage penetrating hits you get. You can't really judge a gun on that. You get that on all guns. But the aiming time, the limited firing arc, which really, really hurts when you have such a long aiming time. And I just wasn't having any luck with this gun at all. So how do we do in that one? 14 fired, 10 hit the target. That wasn't too bad, that was a 1000 XP game. And 31,000 credits. Which wasn't terrible. I mean, pretty sure we didn't get any awards. Nah, of course not. Unfortunately, that is one of the best games I ever had in the ARL V39 using that 90mm gun. On paper, it's a good gun. You look at the research tree and it looks like the best gun on the tank. But it just isn't. It's a totally wrong gun for something that has such limited gun traverse and is such a big, obvious target. The 105mm isn't an ideal gun for this thing either, but well, it's probably the best alternative. So eventually I just got sick of trying to make that 90mm DCA 45 AC work. It's just it's the wrong gun for a machine with such a limited firing arc as this. Pretty much all of the guns that are available for this thing are the wrong guns. This needs something with a faster aiming time. So the best of a bad bunch is the 105mm gun from the S35CA, the Tier 5. So here it is, the V39 with the 105mm gun. And while the games in this thing are still rarely fun, I did notice an immediate improvement. That might just be down to the way I play, but you know, I can only report on my findings. This map, Serene Coast, I have never had a good game on it, so this wasn't a particularly auspicious start to the 105mm gun's career. But let's see what happens. Now, while this gun is less accurate, it's 0.39 accuracy, it is less accurate than the 90mm. But don't forget that accuracy is an indication of how far it's likely to deviate from the centre of the aiming circle at 100 meters. So a lot's going to depend on how big that aiming circle is. As you can see, okay, not a great advertisement, that one missed, but as you can see, that aiming circle, it doesn't get that big. And when you do have to turn the hull, which you do often in this thing, okay, great, the second one missed as well. Not really doing a good job selling this thing so far. You see that shot deviated high and to the left. There's not much of that easy eight to shoot at here, but the size of the aiming circle is pretty small. So even if it is going to deviate within that aiming circle more than the 90mm does, it's not going to deviate by, it's not going to matter that much because the aiming circle is nice and tight.
That's gotta hurt. Enemy armor is destroyed.
I'm pretty sure that hit, but I can't be sure until he pops up again. Ooh, KV1.
He's gone. Find another target.
Hit him just at the same time as someone else fired. Oh, 3601's popped. Ooh, hello. Here they come. A lot of wrecks up there these guys are taking cover behind. So, in the meantime, I'll deal with their supporting fire. Yeah, that one sailed again high and to the left.
Enemy is hit.
Low average damage run. Only 114. As soon as they get down this hill, they're in cover, but hello, he stopped. Didn't really have time to aim at him, but he's badly hit. He's probably not going to make it down. In the meantime, there's plenty of things to be shooting at down here. Rushed that shot. But again, look at the size of the aiming reticle. Oh, come on. Well, you do have to move the hull. It doesn't take that long to aim up again. I really am doing a lousy job of aiming here. Finally got him. And suddenly, well, can't claim much credit for that one. 3 kills, but the team were good, and the enemy team weren't. Now, and again, you know, like I said, don't go judging the tank by my performance. I'm really not very good in it. I don't think that's completely my fault. The selection of guns available for it just totally don't suit the vehicle. But I am more comfortable with this 105mm gun, purely because it has a short ranging time. And because you do have to whip the hull of this thing around so often, even at long range, to switch between targets, or at medium range when you're trying to follow a target, you are able to switch the hull around, get your sights ready ahead of the target, and it aims fast enough for you to be able to hit them when they pass in front of your gun. And that's so much harder to do with the 90mm. Now, don't get me wrong, this is not a great gun on this tank destroyer. Yeah, pretty poor performance. It's what, 800 XP, 850 with premium account. Not very good at all. 14 shots fired, only 6 hit the target, but they were all extreme range shots. And this thing does only have 0.39 accuracy. So, you know, I've got to give this thing a fair crack of the whip. So, and somehow or other I need to grind through it to get to the AMX-AC MLE 1946, which looks like a good tank destroyer. So, let's have another go. So now, we've got an encounter battle on the Siegfried Line. Yeah, Siegfried Line. Narrow, tight city streets. It's not really where you want to be with this thing. Unfortunately, it's where we are, so you've got to make the most of it. And it's all well and good saying, well, you know, this machine likes to be in this kind of environment, blah, blah. You don't get into that kind of environment. You have to be able to make each tank work in every environment. And yeah, some tanks prefer wide open spaces, some tanks prefer tight, winding, narrow city streets. You can't pick the maps you play on. You've got to be able to adapt. So, like it or not, we're playing on the Siegfried Line. And, I mean, I'll say this for the ARL V39, it is the quintessential tank destroyer. And what I mean by that, you get the ideal situation for a tank destroyer is with friendly heavies or lights or mediums or whatever up front, spotting targets for you while you stay back safely, either in cover or out of the view range of the enemy tanks that are being engaged, and you shoot at them. And not just every tank destroyer, every tank loves being in that position. Most tank destroyers need to be in that position. There are exceptions, obviously. There are tank destroyers with really good frontal armour who, in a pinch, can act as heavy tanks or even medium tanks. There are tank destroyers that can act as scouts because they're so fast. But if there was ever a tank destroyer in this game that needed your classic tank destroyer environment, it's this thing. It just isn't good for anything else. Unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of being in that position, not just on this map, but you know, in most games that you play. So you've got to learn to make do with what you have. Unfortunately, what we have here is a machine that really doesn't like fighting in narrow, tight, enclosed city streets, and there's Artie, luckily, it's only tier 4 at the most. Oh, come on. Yeah, please, be stupid. Just keep doing that. And this gun does pack a decent punch. As I said, this tank has a much better DPM with this gun than it does. Come on.
That's gotta hurt.
You know, if they're going to keep driving sideways on to my gun like that. It's just rude not to shoot them. But if you do get the V39 at this sort of situation, take your shot and get the hell out of there. You can't afford to trade fire with anything in this thing, because it does have a slow rate of fire and it doesn't have any armour, and it's so easy to hit because it's such a massive target. I mean, look, I'm the same size as a T1 heavy tank. Try and get this. Nah, he's going to finish him off. I'm not going to be able to. Yeah. Or am I? We shall see. No, he's determined. He's blocking me on purpose because he wants the kill. Yeah, fine. Let him have it. Or not. Yeah. Charge around that corner, mate. See what good it does you. Hang on. Oh, shit. Behind me. Okay. I'm praying this KD-1S is going to fire at the T1 Heavy and be reloading as I go past them. Somebody killing him works too. Scores are 8-8. And this is not a good machine to be street fighting in. Come on. I really, really hate fighting in the streets with this thing. You're constantly looking left and right to check the corners, but you turn too slowly to be able to react to what's around a corner. That was lucky. Oh. Yeah, I'm not too worried about Su-26s.
We've lost the track.
Yeah, you can do that much damage to me. I can take that. Didn't kill him though. There he is. Come on, come on. Oh,
Let's roll.
come on. I mean, I don't want him to be sitting there taking pot shots at me all bloody day. That one actually seemed to bounce. Finally, got him. Oh wow, 4 kills. So far, best game ever in the V39. Can we make it 5?
Enemy armor is destroyed.
We can make it 5. We actually stand a decent chance of winning this one. My service record on this machine is appallingly bad. And Artie hasn't finished with me. Okay, there's the slugger. Okay, he's not my problem. KD-1S is going for him. He's much too far away. Let's see if I can get this gorilla, or however you crazy Germans pronounce it. There he is. Oh, I'm gonna have to turn the whole. Missed. Okay, aim ahead, aim ahead, aim ahead, aim ahead. Come on. Oh, it's me and a T-34 chasing him down. But the T-34's on very low health, so it's probably not keen to get killed in the dying minutes of the game. Now I have... How can I put this? Gone chasing after artillery that I thought wasn't a threat because I was thirsty for kills before, and it bit me in the ass. But this time, we hammer rack him just to add insult to injury. And by God, is that a Top Gun I see before me? It certainly is. It's not something I ever thought I would see on the ARL V39. And yet, you know, you go to myworldoftanksreplays.com and you have a look at V39 replays, and you'll see people getting Top Guns with the 90mm gun. You'll see people getting Bolter's medals with the 90mm gun. I don't think you'll ever see me get a Top Gun or a Bolter's medal with a 90mm gun on this thing. And I think it all just comes down to a matter of taste. I just perform better with that 105, although it seems to make sense to me for all the reasons I've stated, because with such a shit gun traverse on this thing, you cannot afford to be using guns that have very long aiming times, and the 2.9 second aiming time on the 90mm kills this thing. The 105 only has a 2.3 second aiming time, which is still pretty bad, but it's over half a second faster than the 90mm. And if you're prepared to spend money on this and you don't mind spending gold to demount the equipment and move it on to the next machine, get an enhanced gun lane drive. 10% faster aiming is just it's required on this thing. In fact, I would even say get an enhanced gun lane drive first, rather than a medium caliber tank gun rammer. But well, there you go. The ARL V39. Certainly not my favourite tank destroyer. I cannot wait to get through it and get to the ACMLE 1946, which looks quite good. It has much the same gun selection as this thing, but it's a higher tier vehicle. Same guns perform better, and the 90mm on that one, same gun as on this, doesn't look that bad on the tier 7. And it's certainly a nice stepping stone towards the 100mm, which looks like a really good gun. But sooner or later I will unlock the tier 7 and we'll have a review of that up, and I'll let you know how it plays. So in the meantime, take care on the battlefield, and I'll catch you next time.